So when Moodle exports a Excel spreadsheet out of the feedback field, one of the things that we're interested in doing is looking at the dates and specifically sorting by date. But the problem is as you can see, if we highlight the date field and look up, the date field here is a general field. It's not a date field, and it's actually a text field, not a numeric field. And so if we go over to sort and filter, we find that we can only sort A to Z, which means that it cannot be sorted by date, which makes this problematic operation. Now, what we find is that Excel has a lot of powerful tools, and there is a way to convert this text date field to an actual actionable date field. It takes a few steps, so that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit, sort of walk you through how to change this text field into a date field. Now I'm going to make a couple of assumptions. One is that the day is not important. So it doesn't matter if it's Friday or a Monday. Well, we want to note in this particular case that this feedback was given on December 15th, 2017. And I'm also going to make the assumption that the time is not important. What we're really focusing on is the day. So in order to do that, first thing we need to do is to separate out the dates, the factors in this state, to give us some actionable areas to work. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a couple of extra columns here so that we have some place that we can populate. So we're going to insert one, and while we're at it, we'll insert a fourth just because we might need it. Okay, then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to convert the dates in this column to, we're going to sort of separate them out. And to do that, we'll highlight the column, and then we'll go to Data, and I am using Microsoft's Office 365, so yours may be a little bit different. And then we'll use the field Text to Columns. And what this will do is this will be able to separate that text into separate columns. So what we want to choose is delimited, not a fixed width, and then we'll click on Next. So it'll give us this. Go ahead and unselect tab. There's no tabs here, but we do want to select on the we do want to separate on the comma. You'll notice that December 1 is a unified field. We want to separate that out, so we'll also say do space. And that gives us these several columns. It separates out the day, the month, the date, the year, and the time. And so that's what we're looking for, so we'll click on Next. And here we'll be able to say, hey, what are we going to include and what are we not going to include? So here we want to not include this column. So now it says Stip Content. We want to include this column. We want to keep it general. We want to keep the day general. We want to keep the year general. This column, and I'm just clicking to select them, and then I'm saying do not import. We don't need the time, and we don't need AM, PM. Now the other thing that we'll notice is that the designation is column C. So if the destination is column C, so if we import here, it's going to import directly into C and it'll replace this date. I don't want to do that because I want to be able to check to make sure that my import has functioned correctly. So I'm just going to change this to D, and then that will import it into column D. And then we click on Finish, and then you'll see that I've got 3 columns now, date. So I separated this out, and these are still text columns. So if we go to Home, then you'll notice that this is general, general, general. And that's just what we're looking for. Now, what we need to do next is to convert these 3 columns into a actionable date. In order to do this, we're going to employ a formula. And so I'm going to type out the formula here, and I'll also include a link to the sources where I kind of got this information so that you can take a quick look at that and see if that'll be helpful. Line 98. I don't know how we ended up at line 98, but we did. So we'll go back up to line 2. Oh, so, and this is kind of interesting because here, this is a date field and this is a date field, and this is general. So all we need to do here is we just need to go back here, change this back to general. And now I'll change that back right, and then we'll change this date back to general. Okay, now we're what we want to see. And then to take these columns, column D, E, and F, they're all general, 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 and convert them to a date, we need to use a formula. So it's we'll use the date formula. It's fairly straightforward. If we click on here on column G, we can type equals to initiate our formula, date, Okay, and then you'll notice that it says year, month, day. Well, we're going to get the year from F2. Okay. We're going to get the month from D2, and we're going to get the day from E2. The only complication here, really, column D gives us the month in text format. We need that in a number format, so we have to do a little bit of a conversion. So for D2, we'll go over here and we'll say month 1 and D2 end. Okay, so that allows us to concatenate a date, 1st December in this case, so that the month function can convert it to the corresponding month number. Okay, so then we'll click on enter, and what we'll find is that this is converted to 12,127. It's a formula, which is actually really good, because then that way we can take this formula and we can apply it to all the rest of the rows. The way to do that is to click on our formula box, hover over the corner, and then double click. And when we double click, what it does is it takes a little while, but it expands. So you can obviously grab and pull down and that'll populate, but by double clicking it expands the formula and copies the formula into the following rows as long as there is data in the cell that's to the left. You'll notice that down here at the bottom it says the count is 650, and in fact if we scroll down, in fact let's go ahead and just take a quick look over here. Let's just bring this up so we can see more data, and if we scroll down we'll find that all the way down to 6050 we've got dates. Now it looks like a date, but it's not functioning like a date, because go up to row 2 here, we'll see that it's still our formula. Well, how do we actually make it a date? All we need to do is we need to copy this and do a copy special to copy the value, not the formula. So then we just highlight, then we copy. Go up here to row 7 or to column H, and then we do a paste, but we do a paste special. And our paste special gives us the option to paste the values, which is what we do. Click on OK. All right, now we're almost there. We've got, so I'll hit escape and then that'll release that. So this is a formula and this is a date, and we find that these are dates. So what I can do at this point is I can clean up the function. So D through G were all really about enabling me to reach this endpoint. So I'll delete those. Okay, now I've got D. And then what I can find is that if I do D, I can go here to sort and filter. It'll say sort oldest to newest or newest to oldest. So then I can do my sort. It'll think, expand the selection, and now I have sorted all of these according to the dates. And so now if I go down, I'll start up here on 10/20, and then the dates will increase until finally we get to the last part where we pull this, which was 1/11. Oh, and we have this, we have our header down here, which we can copy, insert a row, and just run a couple of little cleanup functions, and then we paste, and now we have now what you'll notice, of course, is we've got date and date. We can keep this date field, we can delete this date field, whatever works best.